Hey guys, welcome back to the RCA RR-359 restoration project. Let's shift gears a little bit in this video, jump ahead a little bit, and talk about the picture tube, cathode ray tube, if you will. This set came with what appears to be a very early prototype 12AP4. I haven't tested it yet. The getters look good. Got high hopes it will produce a decent image. However, I'm going to be tinkering with this on the workbench, I expect, for a while to get the set working. I don't want to use that precious rare picture tube while I'm working on the set. I want to substitute something, as you've seen me do on many other projects with test CRTs that were purpose designed to substitute for a large full-size picture tube while you're on the workbench, like the 5AXP4, the 8XP4, the 8YP4. Well, what can we sub for a 12AP4? Not much. Not if you want to just drop it and work. For one thing, the 12AP4 has a base, I think it's 5 or 6 pins, which is not standard for later picture tubes at all. And it runs on 12.5 volts for the filament, which is not standard either. The vast majority are 6.3 volts. Now, most of the tubes in this set are 6.3 volts, so we have a supply for that. We can temporarily reconnect the filament supply and use a 6.3 volt CRT. But some other issues. One is how it physically sits in there. Now, I pulled this out. This, I believe, is a 7BP7 radar CRT. I say I think because the base was damaged and it's been removed. This is the closest thing I think I have on hand that would potentially drop in and work with some minor tweaks. For one thing, the 12AP4 has the high voltage anode is a knob that sticks out. It's a metal sort of cap thing that sticks out the side. It's not the recessed hole like you see in most picture tubes, nor is it the snap-in type that you see on a lot of instrumentation cathode ray tubes. However, the actual shape of the bell of this, the cone here, is very similar. Obviously this is smaller, it's only a 7-inch, not a 12-inch, but this is positioned right about where it should be. If I was to just drop this in, I would need to just make a metal cylinder insert into this so it would make contact with the high voltage connector. And as for the other end, since I don't even have a base, I think I could salvage the base from a tube with the right number of pins and just wire this up so that it would be compatible with the existing socket. So that's cool, a lot of potential there. Now, I mentioned it's a 7BP7. The number after the P is the type of phosphor. P4 is what you'd use in a black and white TV. That white medium persistent type phosphor. P7 is radar. It's actually a blend of two types of phosphors, a short persistent blue and a long persistent yellow. So the image will be terrible if it worked at all. There's a bigger issue, though. I can live with an odd-looking image. I just want to be able to see any image. Most post-war round black and white TV picture tubes use a magnetic field for focusing. There'll be a large coil of wire sitting about here, or in some cases a permanent magnet assembly that sits about here to squeeze focus that electron beam as it goes towards the face of the CRT. This one is also magnetic focusing. The 359 has a metal funnel that goes around this and then a tube that covers the whole neck. There's no way, without doing some major modifications, that I can put a coil on there or a permanent magnet to focus this. If I was to use the CRT without a focus coil, Best case, it'd be very blurry. Worst case, we won't see anything because without that, the beam will be so unfocused it won't form a coherent image at all. I won't know for sure until I actually try using it. Now, I went and looked through a bunch of CRT data online, and I found a few electrostatically focused, magnetically deflected picture tube or CRTs. There aren't many. For picture tubes, the most well-known one would be the 7DP4, which was used in the RCA 621TS. 7-inch magnetically deflected electrostatic focus and high electrostatic focus. It might be the same gun assembly like they used in the pre-war sets. So I could potentially use one of those, except those are pretty scarce and valuable too, but I do have one. Possibly we could use it. What I'd rather use is a green phosphor from a type CRT from an oscilloscope or from a radar that has far less value or use. I think the best fit I found was a 7LP1. It looks to be exactly the same envelope as this, but electrostatic focus. A few others, potentially a 7ABP7, as I mentioned, the 7LP1, a 7CP4, which is a P4 type phosphor. And some of these, by the way, come in various phosphors. Like there might be a 7LP1, a P4, a P7, whereas the rest of it is the same. But most of these were made for instrumentation or radar. Also a 7ARP4. Now, as I said, these are P4s, TV phosphor. So what were these TV sets that these were used in? Maybe, but some of these were also used in studio monitors or camera viewfinders. So there were other uses for P4 phosphor besides just a consumer TV. And even nicer would be a 9-inch, which would probably be even harder to find. A 9CP4 or a 9GP7 perhaps could work. I don't have any of these. There aren't any for sale on eBay right now, so that's a dream, but I'll go through what I have. So why am I focusing on this box? Because this box is full of CRTs that I've scrolled away over the years and I haven't looked at it in a long time. I want to see what's in here. I don't think I have any of these, but who knows? Who knows? So we'll try using this because I've got nothing else to lose. The base is already gone. I'll rig it up so it could work. As I say, I'll have to change the filament voltage, and I really have to remember to switch it back so I don't burn out the real CRT when that time finally comes. Alright, so what's in here? Like I say, it's been a while since I looked in here. I wrote a little bit on one of the flaps. 5AXP4, 3RP1, 7JP4, but I don't know if that's what's actually in here. Oh, it's a 3JP11. Interesting. Wow. Pretty sure I've never used this. Ah, it's a weird one. I did a series on electrostatic TVs not too long ago, and I believe I rigged up a 3JP12, or 13, it was orange phosphor. Not sure what a P11 is, but this should plug in into an electrostatic TV and sub for a 7JP4. That's the same type of base. Totally useless for this 359, but I'll put that aside. We gotta try that out. I'm pretty sure I've never fired it up. Alright, next to it we have what are we at? 1958. This is a 3JP7. Okay. Another radar CRT. Useless for this project. But certainly take a look at it. Should also sub for a 7JP4. Special tube, DC4 silicon compound inside tube base for high altitude operation, 3JP7. That is most definitely a radar CRT. Also useless for this project. This. I was hoping to come across this. I haven't seen this in a long time. But this is a 7-inch CRT. Possibly could work for this. I got to look up the specs if they're even published. 7, 8. Oh, was this on my short list I was just looking at? Yes, it is. Look how. It's worn, but I think this is a 7ABP14. And I had written down a 7ABP7. This is a nifty CRT. I hooked this up to a regular TV years ago. It's compatible with a magnetically deflected TV like, say, a 10BP4. It has a standard 12-pin base. Has the wrong type of high voltage connector for this project, and the shape of it's a little different. So I don't know how well it would fit in there, but I'm pretty darn sure that this is electrostatic focus and magnetically, well, I know it's magnetically deflected. And what a P14 phosphor is, I recall it's a weird purplish blue kind of odd look to it. But yeah, that's a possibility. All right, let's keep digging. This is a Caratron, Pneumatron. Makes it's not quite a test. It's a type of monoscope. Doesn't make the Indian head test pattern, but there are some characters or symbols or something like that at the other end, I think. Basically, it's a sort of camera tube where instead of letting an image come in from the outside, it's baked inside of this. But interesting, a little gadget. I think we're going to run into a bunch of, well, it's a 7JP4. No, it's a 7VP1. This can sub for a 7JP4, but it's an oscilloscope. It's P1 phosphor green. I think we're going to find a bunch of CRTs like that down in here. Pulls from old oscilloscopes. Well, who knows? Huh. It's not marked, but I think this is a 5AXP4. Which is another possibility. My concern with using one of these is that they're so small, I don't know if it's going to fit in that funnel right and make contact with this. But this is interesting in that it's not magnetic focus, it's not electrostatic focus, it's self-focusing. You don't need to do anything when you get a focused image. So we'll set this aside too. We'll see. I'll drop this into the funnel. We'll see where this ends up. It is pretty high towards the front, so maybe that is a possibility. 7JP4, another 7JP4. This is a CP1A. Yep. With some really bad damage to the phosphor right in the middle. Prices on those went crazy because a lot of people are building scope clocks out of them. It used to be a common, inexpensive CRT, you know, test equipment, but then things got crazy. And this is definitely an oscilloscope CRT, 7CP1. I don't think we can use that for anything. And that's it. That's it. All right, well, we've got some interesting possibilities. Let's go over to the actual set and see how those few I pulled out actually fit into the funnel. See how things line up right. Well, here's the CRT funnel. That panel on the side there, that's where the high voltage comes out and makes contact with the knob on the side of the CRT, and that's the yoke. Alright, let's try the 5AXP4. Comically tiny in here. But as long as that comes close to that or sits at the right position, it could work. Oh, okay. That I hadn't expected. It doesn't fit, or it's really, really tight and I don't want to force it. The diameter of this must be slightly bigger than a 12AP4. Huh. Okay. That I hadn't expected. Thought they were the same. Let's try this guy that doesn't have a base on it. Yeah, that fits no problem, and there's room to spare, so I guess it's just the phenolic base that's a little bit too big. So, so the one that fits the best, and I think pretty sure that high voltage button is lined up right, is the one that's magnetic focus. Well, that stinks. Alright, let's just settle this with some calipers, shall we? So here's one that I'd like to use. Got the calipers tightened down around the neck. And here's the one that seems to fit better. And, oh yeah, the neck is about 2 millimeters skinnier. I'm quite surprised. I thought all these neck diameters were identical. Well, it sure seems like if I want to use what I have on hand and not force anything, this is my only option. And we'll just have to see how the focus plays out when we get there. If any of you have worked on a pre-war set, what did you use to substitute for the CRT, or didn't you? That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Well, this is unexpected. Well, how about I just measure the neck diameters with some calipers, huh? So, here is the one I'd like to use. It didn't quite fit. So I've got the calipers tightened down to that. And here's the one that does fit. And, oh yeah, it's about 1/10 of an inch or a couple millimeters narrower. I'm surprised. I thought that all the neck glass diameter was the same. Well, at least based on what I have on hand, this is the only one that's going to fit. And we'll just have to wait and see how it works with the focusing issue. Alright, that's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching, and if any of you ever worked on a pre-war TV, what did you use to substitute for the CRT, or didn't you?